started recording. That's all this is gonna be.
Nice.
Maybe I can't look at you. Hey everyone, welcome to Fighting Over the Card Catalog, a snarky look back on young adult novels of the 80s and 90s. I'm Jess.
And I'm Steven. I'm here to make my wife happy.
We're taking a journey to find out how many terrible and hopefully some not so terrible books from my youth I can get my husband to read before he reconsiders this whole marriage. Hello.
Hello.
We're going to begin with a seminal book series for young Gen Xers and at least older millennials, the Babysitters Club, starting, of course, with Kristy's great idea.
Okay, so I'm going to read the book blurb from the back of the book. Kristy thinks the Babysitters Club is a great idea. She and her friends Claudia, Stacy, and Marianne all love taking care of kids. A club will give them the chance to have lots of fun and make tons of money. But nobody counted on crank calls, uncontrollable 2-year-olds, wild pets, and parents who don't always tell the truth. And then there's Stacy, fucking Stacy, who's acting more and more mysterious. Having a babysitter's club isn't easy, but Kristy and her friends aren't giving up until they get it right. So, what were your initial impressions?
My initial impressions? Well, let me tell you my history with the Babysitters Club.
Tell me your history.
Okay, so it was first published in 1986. I read it about 87, 88. I was 5 or 6. And it was like one of my first chapter books. And I was like, I remember being really, really proud. I don't know why I started reading it. I had never been babysat other than my grandparents, so I don't know. They just look super cool. Look how cool Stacy looks on that cover.
Now, was this the cover that was on yours? Because I did see alternate covers.
Yeah, there are
like
alternate
drawn.
Covers. No, that's the one.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And you like the big hair that did it for you?
It was 87. Yeah.
Yes, I remember 87.
Yeah, you were like 15.
I was in high school at 87.
Did you like the big hair?
It was just there, you know.
It was just everyone had it.
Yeah. I personally did not like my hair big. Actually wore my hair shaved on the sides. Sides.
Did you have anything shaved into it?
That's a whole other story.
Oh, okay.
But I do remember the big hair, without a doubt. All the hairspray. All the killing our atmosphere.
That's why the environment's so bad now, the 80s.
Yeah. Well,
so
do you want to know my initial impressions?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. It's going to be so bad.
So my initial impression was that this was a hugely successful series. Mm-hmm. You know, they had over 100 books published. So, you know, although it's not in my preferred genre or age group.
Well, hopefully not now.
I surely thought that it wouldn't be that bad. But boy, was I wrong.
Why did you think it was bad in just in general?
So I listen to a lot of audiobooks while I'm working.
Right.
And I read for pleasure at night before I go to bed.
And this is not pleasurable.
I would have to say that this book sucked the joy of reading from my soul. It literally took me weeks.
It did.
To read this book because I found it more enjoyable to go to sleep.
I know. I saw it. So this is going to be good. I can't wait to get through this whole podcast with you and this whole series. It was actually 213.
230. Well, the Babysitters Club, that was 131.
Oh, 31. Yeah.
And the others.
Then there's Mysteries and Super
Specials.
Specials.
What is LS?
Little Sister,
Little Sister. Okay.
which I have some of, but I never read those at the time because it didn't come out until I was older. That has to do with Karen, who we meet in this. It's Watson's daughter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, because she's such a little brat. She got her own series.
Oh.
Yeah. So maybe we'll read one of those at some point. I never read them initially, though, so apparently she's just more annoying. But sometimes I love her. Can you hear Millie breathing?
That is what we deal with sleeping every night.
So yeah, if you can hear that, that's our dog snoring. Ish. Yeah, I have some facts on that. According to Wikipedia, it was initially supposed to be a 4-book series. But after the first 4 novels were moderately successful, Scholastic ordered 2 more, followed by 12 more. And by the time the 6th novel was published, the first printing was up to 100,000 copies.
Mm.
And when publishing ceased in 2000, the year I graduated, there had been 213 novels published in the series.
Okay.
But Anna Martin only wrote the first 35. And then they were
I was
ghostwritten.
going to ask that if there was one writer that did the originals.
Yeah. Well, she wrote some others too, but later on in the series, after the first 35, you'll see she like thanks somebody else. But yeah, she has like 5 or 6 other people because these were turned out once a month.
Once a month. Okay.
Yeah, for 16 years. Yeah.
Wow.
14 years.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty good run.
Yeah. But yeah, it was like 7
I mean,
people
the only thing I
writing it.
have that I read like that would be like the Choose Your Own Adventure books.
Which we will get to. Don't worry. So let's get on to the book. It starts out on a very super hot day in Stony Brook, Connecticut in an unair-conditioned school. Did you ever have an unair-conditioned school?
I did not, but my
Okay.
mom did.
Oh, well, she's old.
There was a time when you could go into it, and you could go into a room in the middle of summer, and it was not air conditioned.
Yeah.
I don't
Texas.
understand how anyone could live in Texas
Yeah.
at any point in time without air conditioning.
Yeah. But up north, like in Connecticut, they don't necessarily always have it. Now, I went to school in Connecticut from the time I was 8 through 11, 3rd through 6th grade. And I can't remember if there was air conditioning or not. But apparently it was a very, very hot day in September. And Kristy's not having it. When the bell rings, she leaps out of her seat and shouts, "Hooray!" And her teacher gets super pissed off at her and assigns her a 100-word essay on decorum because she don't have any. She meets her best friend, Marianne, outside. They're similar in looks, but that's it. Marianne is only quiet and shy on the inside, fortunately. When you get to know her, she's better. I don't think you think that, though. So Marianne's mom is dead, and her dad's super strict. He only allows her to wear braids, and she has to ask permission to ride her bike to the mall, which doesn't seem like a crazy rule to me. The braids, yes.
Yes.
But to ride your bike to the mall? Yeah, bitch, you gotta ask. Do Claudia and Kristy not have to? That's buck wild.
When I was probably 7 or 8 years old, I wanted to ride my bike to this store. It's probably a couple of miles away. It was next to the old hospital, and so it was like a pharmacy. And I wanted to get some candy, so I called my mom.
'Cause she was working.
And she said, "Absolutely no, you cannot."
What?
So I called my dad.
You can't do that.
And he said, "If your mom says it's okay, you can go." So I took that as an okay, and I went.
That was a wrong decision.
When I got home, Mom was home.
Oh.
And she said, "Just wait until your dad gets home." So maybe Mary Ann, she also got the belt.
Maybe so. Do you think Richard's abusive?
No, I don't think so. I think he's just like, I've seen a lot of people like that for religious reasons.
Yeah, they come off as religious, don't they?
Yeah.
I think they pray at dinner in Marianne's first book, but like then that's it. There isn't a lot of religion discussed in this book until way, 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 way later when we get a Jewish character.
Oh.
But that takes almost 100 books.
Okay.
So they rush home because Kristy, remember, she has to babysit her little brother, David Michael, who, until she gets there, is a 6-year-old latchkey kid.
About the school getting out, did you notice that it got out at 2:42 p.m.?
I didn't know.
What kind of school gets out at 2:42 p.m.?
You mean because it's early or because it's a weird time?
Both.
I feel like high school is kind of like that. Like you get out at like maybe 3:07 or something.
Oh. Okay, I get you.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Like maybe they were going to 6 or 7 classes and they were so many minutes each.
Right.
And it just
and it was
happened
something weird.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyways, they get there and David Michael's really upset. He's got to pee and he couldn't get in because he lost his key. So their mom, Elizabeth, she brings home some pizza and the older kids. Oh, she's got 2 older brothers, Sam and Charlie. They're both in high school. They each have a day to babysit David Michael. And then the other 2 days, they have another babysitter. I think that sounds like a pretty good gig. Just one day to have responsibility. All right, because she's a single mom. And Kristy's dad's an asshole. And he never calls. She hadn't talked to him in over a year at this point. A lot of responsibility on the older kids. So she brings home the pizza to bribe them because the other babysitter can't sit for whatever reason. But everybody else is already busy. So she calls 4 other people. Cannot find a babysitter. And then because Kristy is babysitting somewhere else, she calls up that mom to ask if Kristy can bring David Michael to that. Maybe not professional, but... So,
now, I have to say that you can tell this is written for kids because at one point as the mom is going through this, she says drat. And I can tell you that no single mom with 4 kids uses the word drat in that situation.
I believe that. Right. Yeah. But, 6-year-olds were reading it.
Right.
Even though I'm sure I heard worse at that point, but whatever. But anyway, Kristy comes up with this great idea. If her mom was able to only make 1 call, not let her pizza get cold. And Kristy almost chokes on her pizza. So that night, Kristy writes her decorum paper, and she learns that means she was rude. She puts the end at the end for words 99 and 100.
The end.
It reminds me of the book report from You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. When Lucy's sitting there counting all the words about Peter Rabbit.
Something about very, very, very.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Very, 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 very happy to be home. The end. Yeah. Anyways. Then she's like, okay, now I can start playing this club. And she made a damn fine list. It had like bullet points and numbers, and it was great. I just like that. She says one of us would be available for sure. She's thinking Marianne and Claudia in this, right? None of them were free when she was making her calls. So what the hell is she talking about? Oh, and she says, also, of course, people could call us individually at other times. Not for long. She gets really pissed off about that. Mom comes in.
Now, does Claudia come off a little emo to you?
Was there emo in the... Well, there was like the Clash and stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, that was punk rock, really.
Yeah, because there wasn't like real emo. No, I think she's just artistic.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. She has a good talk with her guilty mom. We learn more how her dad sucks. And then she has this weird-ass flashlight conversation with Marianne because she can't talk on the phone till after 9. And it sounds super complicated. Anyways, Elizabeth comes back in and tells her, hey, I've got a date with Watson coming up. Watson is this divorce guy that she's been seeing off and on for 4 months. He has 2 kids, and he's getting bald. Kristy does not like him, and she refuses to sit for his kid.
I had a single mom who dated. And
Did she date a lot?
She would go out, but she never actually brought anyone home. I guess her second husband was the only person she ever brought home.
What? I didn't know she had a second husband.
Yes, that lasted for all of 6 months.
Okay,
and
that's why.
I mean, we could go to a whole story about that.
Okay, that's okay, but you'll tell me later.
That's like one of those
Goodness.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde
Oh, no. How old
situations. 8th grade,
Yikes.
12.
About Kristy's age.
And he was great at first. Taught me to play tennis, played cards with us all
that's
the time.
good. Because you played tennis for a long time.
Would come to school events. Once they got married, though.
I was going to say while dating.
Yeah. He never played cards with us again one more time. Or went and played tennis again. Nope. Well, people are like that.
I guess so. You didn't turn into a dick when we
She
got
met
married.
him through church. A Christian singles group.
Aw, yeah, before, what is it, christianmingles.com.
There you go, yeah. But that kind of cured her from wanting to date people.
That's terrible.
I don't know if she ever went on another date after that marriage.
That is heartbreaking.
Which was great for me as a kid.
Well, I know, but my God. She had a life. Imagine if your kids thought that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she could have dated once y'all were all adults.
Well, their second mom is pretty kick-ass, so.
I know. All right. So, Kristy and David Michael, they go to the Newtons for babysitting Jamie. He's an only child right now, but she's pregnant, so that's going to change soon. Jamie says hi, and he does that through the entire series.
Hi.
Hi. My headcanon, Mrs. Newton always looked like Ethel Mertz from I Love Lucy to me.
Okay.
I don't know why. That's just how she looks in my head. So Mary Ann then comes over with Margot and Claire Pike, and it doesn't seem like they cleared that with any parents. Does that seem like a bad idea?
Yeah.
Say, hey, I'm going to take them over to the Newtons. I'm sure Mrs. Pike would have been fine with it. But, tell somebody. Or Kristy needs to tell Mrs. Newton that, hey, the Pikes are going to come over. Because,
I don't know. I had some friends whose parents were like that. It didn't matter who came over to their house at what time. It was fine.
That's true. But a 12-year-old probably wasn't in charge of 4-year-olds. So, anyways, Jamie does get hurt. So, they were trying to talk about the Babysitters Club, but they decided maybe they should go home after he gets hurt. But after their jobs, they all go over to the Kishis to meet Claudia, who they're a little bit uncomfortable around because she suddenly matured once they started 7th grade. Boys aren't goony anymore. Even though Kristy still thinks, they're still being assholes, giving them already been chewed gum and noogies and spitballs and pulling chairs out from underneath them. Yeah, boys are still assholes in 7th grade. Were you an asshole in 7th grade?
I'm sure to somebody. But, that was an very awkward time in my life.
Sure. Your mom was getting married and shit. And
yeah, and, hormones.
Yeah, nobody's good in 7th grade.
Yeah,
nobody.
Good.
So, this is going to be our very first, big recurring segment. So, you may have noticed that Claudia and Stacy, but mainly Claudia, wear some hella interesting outfits, which are always described in full detail. So, we're going to call these fashion alerts. And once we have listeners, I want them to send in their vision of how this looks in their heads.
Okay.
So our Facebook and Twitter email.
Are you going to read the...
Yes, I'm going to read it. And I want you to, and I will too, make a judgment and decide if it's dope or nope. So, when Claudia answered the door, she was wearing short, very baggy, lavender plaid overalls, a white lacy blouse, a black fedora, and red high-top sneakers. without socks. Her long black hair was carefully arranged in 4 braids. There was blue stuff on her eyelids, gold stuff above her eyes, and magenta stuff on her cheeks. Dope or nope?
For the 80s, I would have to say dope.
Yeah. She sounds hella cool, I think. I don't love the red sneakers with, with the lavender. But baggy lavender plaid overalls, I would totally rock that now. So, yeah, I'm going to say dope. But then we get a little problematic. Kristy says she looks exotic. Well, she says first, she looks like she should be in a circus, but she doesn't need makeup. Claudia says, you just think it's exotic. And Kristy's like, yeah, well, maybe I do. That is super problematic.
Okay, so how's that problematic?
Okay, so I read a really great article on everyday feminism, why calling women of color exotic is racist. Like, mainly, it's like a backhanded reminder that they're less than normal, less human, and less real than white people. It implies that there's like one normal standard of beauty. In like a lot of movies and stuff, it reduces women to like the status of exotic animals.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, as like a 7th grader, a lot of kids will use terminologies and words that they hear from their parents or adults around them. So I will excuse a lot of problematic language from children.
But it wasn't a child writing. It was an old white lady.
Right.
And so that's where the problem comes in for me.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's a really good article. Maybe I'll put it in the show notes. Anyways, so they go upstairs where we learn all about Janine. This is Claudia's older sister who is 15. She's already going to university, and apparently her IQ is 196. And genius level starts at 150. Is that believable?
Believable, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, because, okay, so IQ can go up or down based on knowledge and environment.
Okay.
I mean, there is a certain amount of inherited ability, but IQ
There's also
itself,
environment?
Yes. Environment opportunity plays a large portion of it. Especially when you're taking IQ tests that have reasoning and
deduction and all that stuff.
And, you know, puzzle solving ability. As you get older, your IQ can actually increase or go down according to how much you're actually
using your brain.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, they all hate Janine. Because she's a massive geek, and that wasn't cool in the 80s at all. Her second best friend was a computer. Her computer. Which in the 80s.
I can relate.
Yeah. You're a nerd.
I relate to Janine more than girls.
So, anyways, they go into Claudia's room, and Marianne's there, and they start discussing the club. And Claudia's like, yeah, that sounds dope. And they start answering some questions they have, like, where could we have it? Well, guess what? Claudia's got her own phone extension number thing, which was a big deal back in the day, I remember.
It was a big deal. I had a friend who had his own simply because his parents didn't want to answer the phone when his friends called him.
I could see the Keishis being that way. Claudia's like, hey, I have a new friend who might be great for the club. Her name's Stacy, and Kristy's all like, we gotta meet her first. And Claudia's like, yeah. They decide to meet again, and this next time, fashion alert. When Claudia answers the door the next day, she is wearing a baggy yellow and black checked shirt, black pants, red jazz shoes, and a bracelet that looked like it was made from a telephone cord. Her earrings were dangling, jointed skeletons that jumped around when she moved. She wasn't wearing any makeup today because she got in trouble. Dope or nope?
Yeah, again, for the 80s, I would say dope.
Do you remember people wearing the, like, telephone cord type jewelry?
I do not.
Oh, I do.
That seems strange to me. That's what I was going to put out. Yeah.
How about her earrings, though?
I remember slap bracelets.
Yeah.
Yeah, any kind
And then
of
those got outlawed.
novelty, any kind of novelty dangling earrings. Yeah, were in the 80s.
Okay, and then guess what? We get a Stacy fashion alert. She was wearing a pink sweatshirt with sequins and a large purple parrot on the front. I could only think about Beverly Goldberg on the Goldbergs when I read that.
Yes.
And short, tight-fitting jeans with zippers up the outsides of her legs and pink plastic shoes, meaning jellies. Dope or nope?
Yeah, where are they getting these clothes?
You mean, like, where did Anna and Martin think of these? Like, how did she come up with those?
Yeah.
Or where they are actually buying them?
Yeah, I mean, like, did she see these kinds of things?
That's a great question that has gone all around the BSC fandom. Because there is pretty much always, every book, a description of Claudia's clothes. And so, yeah, a lot of people have wondered, did she just go to the mall and, like, creep on teenage girls? Yeah, it's a good question.
Okay.
Nobody knows. But yeah, pink plastic shoes, meaning jellies. Hell yeah. Meanwhile, Kristy and Marianne are just wearing skirts and blouses. Kristy's wearing white knee socks and loafers, while Marianne had short white socks and saddle shoes. Was that a thing in the 80s?
What are saddle shoes?
They're like 50s shoes, you know, the white with the black.
Okay.
They look kind of like golf shoes.
Yeah, I don't recall them, but I would not put it past them.
Anyways, they're major nerds and babies, or that's how they feel. And Kristy changes later in the series. She only wears like sweatshirts and jeans and stuff. This seems very, I don't know, it was weird for her at the time. Stacy, all about her babysitting experience, and she used to do so. Oh, she just moved from New York. And Marianne's all impressed with that. She seems very sophisticated, but she used to sit there and babysit in New York all the time. But she's a little shady about why they moved and stuff. She's just like, oh, Dad changed his job, and then she won't eat any candy. So she's shady as hell about that too, about dieting and stuff. But anyways, they decide to let her in the club, and they're going to meet and come up with flyers and a logo, and it's just very official and stuff. So they do that at recess, which is adorable. They come up with all the things. Claudia comes up with a logo that's adorable that you'll see on all the books from forever.
Now, what was your impression of this as a 6-year-old reading this? I mean, were you like, oh, we got to do this?
Yes.
I want to get all this together. Let's do it at recess.
Yes, because they were organizing and that. Yeah, I've always liked that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, just the idea of coming up with a club and yeah, I liked all that. Making flyers and stuff.
Yeah, I can see like wanting to make clubs and stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you ever have a club?
No.
With your friends?
Pretend clubs that I wanted to have, yes.
Oh, in your head?
Yes.
Dope, like what?
Like a friend and I started a tree house. Yes. And we were going to make a clubhouse. Uh-huh. And all we ended up making was the platform. We built it between 2 trees.
Oh.
It could have been really cool, but we were poor.
Right.
And we used all the wood we had, and there was no more wood.
That's all you could get.
His parents, after about a year of it being up, ended up just using it to cover their firewood. It became the firewood cover.
Well, that was nice to be able to build that for him. Dope. Was it going to be like a no girls allowed club, like Calvin and Hobbes?
I don't remember ever being like anti-girl or something, but...
Good for you, my woke love.
But that was probably because we were just because we were kind of nerdy and no girls hung out with us. So
That's so sad.
yeah. I mean, we did have like a lunch crew when I was in high school that
Right.
included girls.
Yeah.
That was kind of like a club. But we didn't have meetings or
No.
make flyers.
No. Oh, here's what bothers me. Kristy's just like, yeah, my mom can make all these copies of the flyers at her office.
Cool.
Like,
Embezzlement.
"Bitch, yeah, what are you doing?
Gonna embezzle some copies here.
Yeah. Okay, so all their phone numbers start with KL.
Okay.
Is that a thing?
From the 80s? No.
Okay.
Not that I remember.
I didn't think so. I remember
Maybe
on,
regionally, but no.
Yeah,
not
I remember
anywhere
on the
else.
Dick Van Dyke Show, they would like say the name of the town or whatever, and then like 4 numbers or something. But yeah, in the 80s, that always really confused me.
Yeah, my friend from high school has had the same phone number since the 70s. Wow. And it started off as like a 5-digit number.
Uh-huh.
And then it went to a 7-digit number.
Right.
And then they started putting the area code in.
I remember
so
that
it was a 10-digit
happening.
number.
Yeah.
But the last 5 have been the same since the 70s.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That night, Watson comes over, and he brings Chinese food, and Kristy is rude as fuck. She's like, I'm not going to eat this Chinese food, and makes herself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah, I mean, that's just hurting
That was
yourself.
shitty.
That's just hurting yourself there.
Yeah, right? Even though she loves Chinese food. She's like, nah,
I was going to say, if it's
today.
something that I really didn't like, then yeah, I'd make a big deal of it. Oh, this is shitty.
Yeah. Would you say that in front of your mom and her boyfriend when you were 12?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't cuss that much now, but back then, just definitely not.
Defo, no.
I was a good Christian boy.
Oh, right.
Oh, I was in a club. I was in a Christian club.
Of course you were.
Every Wednesday we met at the church.
Oh, like a youth group type thing?
Yeah, but they
Okay.
called it like a club. I don't remember what it was called at the time, but it was Young Explorers or something like that.
Exploring the Bible.
Yeah, maybe it was like Youth Christian Explorers or something. Yeah.
How long did you do that for?
For the 6 months that she was married to that guy.
Are you serious?
And we lived
Oh my God.
in a town of about 1,000 people.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, I was in youth groups other than that, but
Right.
that was the only one that called itself a club.
A club.
Yeah.
Tight.
And it was all boys. It was. What? Yeah.
Were there just not girls your age that went to the church? Or
Actually, I don't remember that, but I know it was specifically this club was all boys. Yeah.
I bet there was some misogynistic shit going on.
I would not doubt it.
Well, our sitters have their first meeting. Everyone's there early because they're real nervous and shit. But almost everybody picks up a job. Stacy's going to sit for David Michael because Kristy's like, nah, my first client isn't going to be from my mom. So she's going to babysit for some new clients called Buffy and Pinky, which they laugh about their names, and it's very rude. Mary Ann gets to sit for Watson's kids, and she's kind of psyched about it. She's like, I'm curious. And then guess what? Even though they put their individual numbers on the flyer, Kristy gets mad that Mrs. Newton calls Claudia after hours. Kristy's a hypocritical bitch.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But it's okay. She gets her comeuppance because she goes to babysit for Buffy and Pinky. And the mom is like, oh, yeah, they're in the laundry room. Kristy's like, what? Turns out they're 2 huge fucking dogs. How big is this laundry room? To put in 2 very huge dogs, like all day.
I mean, I've known people who keep their dogs in crates all day.
Well, that's true. And that's good training, apparently.
So it wouldn't have to be all that big.
I guess.
But
It always bothered me.
I mean, crates kind of bothers me, but I understand it.
Yeah. It's a good training thing. A lot of them feel, safe. Like that's their
Right.
space.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she's like, okay, well, let's just make the best out of this. And she's like, okay, I'll take them outside. Their house is very, very fancy. They got all sorts of fancy shit. They got no fence for these two huge dogs. What is that about?
Yeah.
I hate
Not
these
even a
people.
run or something like that.
So, of course, Kristy loses the dogs for a little while. They run all over, but she finally gets them back. It's fine. But she decides that so this never happens again, they need to write up every single one of their jobs in a notebook so everyone else can read about it. Because they can't talk at their meetings together. I don't know. She is paid $3.50, which turns out to be $8.02 today.
Oh.
Yeah.
For how long?
I'm not sure. I think it was an afternoon. But so, yeah, a few hours.
Where can I give you some of that labor?
I know, right? Then Claudia, right, she goes over to the Newtons and turns out, oh, hey, there's 3 extra fucking kids, not just Jamie. That's some bullshit.
That is some bullshit.
They say, well, they figure it's because Mrs. Newton's pregnant. She's got pregnancy brain. And so it just slipped her mind. That's a pretty damn big thing to slip your mind.
Yeah, and I'd be asking for like triple the pay
Right?
for something like that.
For sure. But that doesn't happen. I do. Anyways, it's Jamie's cousins. And I do appreciate their mom for the toy equality she gets into. Because Jamie's all like, no, girls can't play with trucks. And she's like, no. So thank you, Mrs. Feldman. I appreciate that.
I was going to say, chalk one up for the old white lady.
For sure. Great job. The kids are terrible. They go just completely buck wild all over the room. But Claudia ignores it. And she sits down with a book and one kid. And eventually everybody quiets down because books are great. So then we're on to Stacy sitting for David Michael. Kristy tells her all the rules real quick, including no cable when mom's not home. Because of porn?
I mean,
I don't know.
Cable's
I never had
pretty
that.
risky. I was an unaccompanied minor a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see that being valid.
I had a couple shows I wasn't allowed to watch, but some of them were on over the air. Like Married with Children. Wasn't allowed to watch that.
Yeah.
But I did. But Sam comes home, and he's all mad at first, but then, whoa. He and Stacy see each other. Sam calls Stacy a foxy chick. She calls Sam a gorgeous hunk. That's really gross. Did you talk like that in the 80s? I mean, it sounds very 80s teen movie-ish.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
But not in real life?
No. No.
Guess what? Fashion alert. Stacy is wearing a matching top and skirt made of gray sweatshirt material with big yellow number 10s all over it. Her hair was pinned back with clips shaped like rainbows. Little silver whistles were dangling from her ears. Dope or nope?
The whistle's dope, the rest nope.
Really? This was one of the dopest for me. Like, I remembered this outfit for a very long time.
Like reading it, you remembered it?
Yeah, because I pictured it, and I was like, oh, that sounds great. And yeah, so when we went back to reread it now, I was like, oh yeah, I totally remember that. I loved it. It sounds comfortable.
Yes.
A top and skirt made out of sweatshirt material? Fuck yeah.
With big number 10s all over it.
Yeah, she's being fake sporty.
Okay, so one number 10 on the back?
Well, it was the 80s. You had to have excess, right?
It reminds me of that old commercial with the guy who had all the dollar signs all over his suit.
Yeah. And he sold a book to make money.
Right.
But that was a suit. It wasn't a cute little top and skirt. But yeah, the earrings, super dope. I think the whole thing's dope. Mainly nope for you. Okay. Hey, Sam pulls out some Pee Wee Herman with some I Know You Aren't, But What Am I?
And how old is him?
Is him?
He?
He's a freshman.
How old he be?
He be freshman. So, I mean, like 14, is not that much more mature than 12. I mean, but Pee Wee Herman was dope then. Was he not for you? He was for me.
Well, I don't remember. I mean, I did see a few. I saw the movie, and I remember a few shows, but I don't know. I think it was maybe geared toward a younger audience.
Like me.
Like,
Anyways, three end up playing Candyland, and it's super, super fun. Mary Ann then gets to go to Watson's house, which is very pretty and big. It turns into a mansion in later books. This dude is hella fucking rich. But Watson's also hella great. He sounds like a really good dad and totally prepared, gives Mary Ann all the stuff, and he's just real chill.
and being a single dad at that time must have been way out of the ordinary.
Right? Yeah, apparently, I mean, they had shared custody, but it seems like everything's really cool between him and his ex, and he gets them whenever he's supposed to, and he's hella cool then. What's also hella awesome is Boo Boo.
Boo Boo's the cat?
Boo Boo's the cat. Okay. Who they tell us he's 17 pounds.
I've had cats bigger than that.
Exactly, me too. They say he should be in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah.
But I did some research.
Okay.
The fattest cat from previous editions of the Guinness World Records book, his name was Hemi. He lived in Australia, and he weighed 46 pounds and 15 and a half ounces. And he died in 1986 at 10 years, which I guess for a cat that fat is probably pretty good.
Yeah.
In 98, he was unchallenged until then. Fortunately, the editors and managers, they decided to discontinue the category to deter people from overfeeding their pets just to appear in the book. So, great job, Guinness people. They still monitor animal weight and size by breed, like the largest breed of horse or whatever, but not individual.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I learned some other facts. The wealthiest cat.
The wealthiest?
Uh-huh. In 1988, he was bequeathed $12.5 million from his owner when he died.
How would you like to be the caretaker of the wealthiest cat? I'm going to need a Maserati because the cat needs to ride around into her vet appointments in style.
Yeah.
We need a big giant house so she has lots of room to... Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're the caretaker, though, that means you get all that shit, too, on the cat's dime.
That's what I'm saying.
That would be dope as hell. Let's get us that gig. Karen talks a lot. Andrew yups a lot. But they're pretty good kids. Until Karen goes buck wild with her witch conspiracy theory on the neighbor, Mrs. Porter. But she calls morbid a destiny. She says she made Boo Boo fat with a spell. And then Boo Boo gets into her garden, and there's much panic and drama. And that tends to repeat a lot throughout the series. But they're just pretty terrible to this lady next door. The club's been going on for a few weeks now, and they've made $26.75. They decided to blow $12 on a pizza party.
Wow.
About the $12?
About blowing half your stash.
Oh.
On a pizza.
Well,
now,
that's how much is in their treasury.
Yeah, I have a problem with this too because
I think.
Kristy is really pushing this pizza party.
Oh, hardcore.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
And I mean this is not just her time. This is everybody's time.
It's true.
And everybody's money. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, I have an issue with that.
With her bossiness in general?
Yeah.
Oh, just you wait, Henry Higgins. Just you wait. But Stacy's all being shady again. They're like, oh, well, you don't have to eat the pizza if you're on your diet. But she's like, I might not be able to go.
I'm not paying for pizza if I'm not eating for it.
Should be true.
Eating for it.
You English good.
For Hawaii.
So Watson comes over for leftovers that night. And I think Kristy's pretty astute to realize that, oh shit, the impression stage is over. However, she and her brothers are all dumb shits to not realize that when their mom tells them to get all dressed up and they break out the fancy china and candles, they don't realize that's proposal talk time.
Yeah.
Watson has proposed to Elizabeth. She hasn't said yes. She's thinking about it. And Kristy asked some really rational questions, I think. She's like, are we going to have to move? Are we going to have to change schools and all this shit? But it's kind of like, don't worry about it. But I think they're important questions.
Yeah,
I'm
as
not
a
mad
kid
at
that
her.
age, you worry about it.
Yeah, that's your whole life. So they're going to have $9 for this pizza party since Stacy apparently can't come. But then things like fall apart and... Anyway, Sam has an emergency meeting of the math club. What could have happened there? Did some exponents get away?
Maybe they had a fundraiser coming up.
Okay.
And something happened.
Everything went to shit.
Like, okay, they were having a jar filled with M&Ms and you could guess by giving 50 cents. And whoever got the closest got to keep the whole jar of M&Ms.
Oh, yeah.
But something happened to the M&Ms.
It got dropped.
It got put in the oven and melted together as one big.
Why would you do that?
Which, by the way, as a member of the Spanish Club, we did that.
You put M&Ms in the oven?
No, we had a jar full of M&Ms.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've seen that.
And by the time it was done and the person won...
Because it did not go in the oven.
All the M&Ms were stale.
They can go stale?
Yes. If they're not
in a jar?
Bag, yes. Yes, it did.
You just blew my mind. I had no idea.
That's another club I was in, the Spanish Club.
There you go. School sponsored.
I was the president.
Were you really?
Yeah, we had an election and everything.
I've never heard you speak Spanish.
I absolutely have no idea how to speak Spanish. I took 2 years, was the Spanish Club president.
Great job,
in my second year. And I can say, ¿Cómo se llama? Me llama Steven. And a couple other phrases or words, but no conversation. We were really, really good at distracting our teacher from teaching us.
Oh, dope. Great job. That's all you want in high
We just
school.
wanted to get through it,
Yeah. Anyways, the emergency meeting always bothered me, but that makes sense. And then there's more bad news. Marianne and Claudia can't do the party. Marianne because she told her dad about it, which we know that's a mistake already. He flips out and says, no, you can't spend your money on a pizza party.
She earned the money?
She did. She did actual work. Babysitting's actual work.
Yeah. So I can see having a portion of it set aside for personal needs and a portion set aside of it for necessities.
Yeah. We do get to that.
Being a poor person growing up, I can understand the dad's perspective on that.
That makes sense. I think it was a responsibility thing with him.
Yeah.
Stacy gets even hella shadier. Oh, she has Kristy call Stacy up, and Stacy's mom obviously lies, saying she's not there. Because Marianne tells her later that she just saw Stacy in her parents' car. She's not in New York.
Shady.
Super shady. Stacy's got all sorts of shit.
Fucking Stacy.
And then there's another emergency. Guess what? Kristy has to babysit for Karen and Andrew.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because it's a big emergency. Their mom broke her ankle. And
Huge emergency.
Her husband, I think, they're married, is out of town. And so Watson goes to be with her at the hospital. But it obviously doesn't want Karen and Andrew there being all bored. So that's a really good ex. See, they have a really good relationship. I think that's great. So he picks up Kristy and she's like...
Do you have that good of a relationship with your ex?
No. But I don't have kids.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You have kids with your ex, and you're good now.
I don't really have to, because my kids are grown now.
Well, yeah.
I don't really have to interact.
Right.
But we're Facebook friends.
Right. I'm Facebook friends with her. And I've never met her. Kristy learns that they're not actually terrible little monsters and actually pretty cute and fun. Karen starts worrying about her mom, and Kristy's like, no. Broken ankle's no biggie. She broke hers when she was taking her dog Louie for a walk, but she was on her bike. Anyways, they come to the conclusion that divorced kids are special kids.
But could you imagine her, like, laying out in the middle of a highway with this dog tugging on her and her broken foot?
That's true. How'd she get home? Oh, man, that must have been a whole drama.
Yeah, that must have been a whole drama. Like, somebody would have had to come help her. And like.
But I'm sure she wasn't on a highway. She was, like, probably in, their neighborhood.
Right.
They seem to know everybody, so she probably had help. And then guess what? We come to the conclusion. Marianne talked with her dad, and she gets to keep half the money as long as she saves the other half, which is much more reasonable. We didn't talk about Claudia. Claudia couldn't babysit because her grades suck. But she talked with her family. She can babysit as long as her family member helps her with their homework every night. So everything seems okay until Kristy calls Stacy out for having her mom lie to her. And Stacy calls Kristy a baby, which I don't think is really fair. I think having your mom lie to her, your friend, that's pretty shit.
Yeah.
And then they even call out Kristy's fashion. She was wearing a sweater with snowflakes and snowmen on it.
Was it fun. Christmas?
No.
Didn't
It's
know.
probably October at the latest. Yeah, that's true. But then she makes fun of Claudia for wearing sheep berets, and it gives, this is one of my favorite lines in the entire series. Sheep, Claudia informed me witheringly, are in. I think it's so great. But Kristy's like, bullshit. Next day, turtles will be in, whatever. Anyways, and then Claudia says, y'all still play with dolls. And Kristy's like, bullshit. They just gave them up last summer. And then Claudia calls Marianne a crybaby. So they're all yelling at each other until Claudia's grandma, Mimi, who is the best, comes in and totally gives them a guilt trip about them being loud. And so they all break up and everybody goes home. To learn that Elizabeth didn't think about it very long, she agrees to become engaged to Watson. But the wedding won't be for months. It's fine. That's not true. Wait $5. To celebrate, they all go over to Watson's big, huge, pretty house, and they do fondue. If you drop your bread in it, you have to kiss the person on your right. Kristy had to give Watson a peck on the cheek. She does it real fast. And apparently she thinks that's rude, and so she apologized for it in a note, but I don't think that's weird.
No. I mean, it's weird when you make people kiss you for dropping bread.
What's up, consent? Anyway. At the next meeting, everybody apologizes, but Kristy does point out that she has the right to not be lied to. And she's totally correct about that. But anyways, they're all ready for a pizza slumber party that they have over at Kristy's house. Stacy doesn't eat much there, obviously, so Kristy's like, what is your deal? She's like, are you anorexic? No. Turns out Stacy has diabetes. And Kristy's like, oh, that's no biggie. My cousin has it. What's your deal? But Stacy had a lot of problems at her old school and fainted a lot. So that's why they moved to a quiet, small town. They have a great party. And Kristy says she hopes that the club would stay together for a long time. Don't worry, Kristy. It lasts 14 more years. So that's the book. Yay!
Yay!
That you love so much.
It was my favorite book ever.
So did you find anything else problematic in it?
I think I pointed out, there was one point where they were putting flyers in the mailbox, which, of course, is a federal crime.
Yeah, that bothers me, too. Because, I learned that when I was pretty young. Yeah.
I kind of stopped taking notes after the first couple of chapters, so.
So it didn't seem weird to me at the time, or even as I got older. But now that I'm an adult, 12-year-olds babysitting little kids seems buck wild to me.
Yeah, I would not have a 12-year-old in charge of my kids.
Yeah.
No.
Parent,
I mean, I think probably the earliest, maybe 15.
very good. Because I looked it up, and some states have laws, apparently, but
Okay.
Connecticut does not. But they highly suggest that kids be 12 before they even stay home alone, and then 15 to babysit their siblings.
Okay.
And apparently this was a big deal a few years ago because a mother was arrested for letting her 13-year-old babysit his 3 younger siblings for half an hour. Yeah. But, helicopter parenting now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was probably 6 or 7 when my parents started having me stay alone with my 8 to 9-year-old brother.
Yeah, you did have older brothers.
Well, my oldest brother was hardly ever around, so
Right.
it would have just been with my middle brother,
Right.
who was only 2 years older than me,
Yeah, so like 10.
and who I totally tried to stay away from.
Well, obviously, but he was there in case 911 needed to be called or
But
something.
I specifically remember times when I was alone as a probably 7 or 8-year-old with nobody there.
Yeah. I was 8 in Connecticut when I started staying home by myself. Like, my parents had to go to work before I went down to the bus. I remember that. And then coming home after school. And now that blows my mind. An 8-year-old?
I remember, so we lived on this street where there were only 2 houses in close proximity. They were right across the street, but then there was a train tracks close by, and behind us was just woods. It was just woods behind us.
We had that
and
too. I
to both
wasn't allowed
sides.
to go out there when I was by myself.
And this house was a huge old house built in the 1800s. And I remember being alone and somebody coming to our door, knocking on the door, and I wouldn't answer it, obviously.
Yeah.
And he
I won't
tried
answer it now.
to open the door. Yes. And I freaked the fuck out
Hell yeah.
and was
Oh
hiding.
my God.
And saw him walk around to the back of the house,
Yeah.
look in the windows, and then try to open the back door.
What the hell?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So then I run upstairs and grab, I know where an old .22 pistol is.
Okay. Good. We're in Texas, y'all.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah. So I grabbed that and then
good for you.
grabbed the phone and called one of my parents and got into a closet or something.
It's like an actual horror movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And they were just like, oh, well, it was probably somebody who thought the house was empty and
That's not okay still. What are you doing?
wanted to see if they could buy it or something and you wanted to look inside. That's probably all it was. And truly, that
Okay.
probably is
I've
all
done
it
that.
was.
Yeah.
But it
Holy shit. And so the next time you had to stay alone, were you like totally?
Oh, from then on,
Yeah.
I mean, well, I would say that it was even before then I was already freaked out.
Right.
Because
Okay.
I'd be alone, like playing basketball in the front yard in a car. We didn't have much traffic going by on the
Yeah.
street. So
Yeah.
a car would run by and I would run behind a tree and hide so someone could see me from the street.
I know, still do that.
And
Fair.
this house at night was creaky. And
I bet.
you know, they have the old windows with the weights on them and stuff. I remember like a sound in the attic happening one time, and oh man, this house was a nightmare for me growing
Yeah.
up.
Aw. You weren't there forever though, right?
No, I guess we lived probably a total of about 6 or 7 years. There.
Oh, that's a good
But
formative
that was
amount
good.
of time though.
Yeah, it was from like 5 to 10, and then again from probably 11 to 12 or early. We moved for, I don't know, 8 or 10 months away from it and
Right.
then came back.
Yeah. Back to the horror house. So, how old were your kids when they were allowed to stay home by themselves?
I guess probably the first time Aaron was probably 10 and Megan 9.
So this was like early 2000s. Mid 2000s.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was after I had been divorced and I was, raised them by myself. Right. So if I needed to go to the grocery store or something like that, they'd have to stay alone. And I remember Megan just freaking out about it. Oh, don't leave me.
No. Because of Aaron. No, I'm just kidding.
No, just because she was a very
a sensitive
worried child.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Because then I started working from home. I mean, they were never really they were not large portions of time when they were.
So did you ever babysit? Or have babysitters other than your brother?
I can remember having babysitters. So I remember as a very young child, like 3, 4, having a nanny.
What?
Yeah.
You bougie boy. What's going on?
Well, this is the South, so we had a black maid.
Oh my God! Are you
housekeeper
serious?
Who was also my nanny? Yes.
This was like mid-70s.
This would have been mid-70s. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I can remember my aunt babysitting me. Now she was the same age as my oldest brother, which was 6 or 7 years older.
Okay.
So she was like a teenager. And I can remember one time her babysitting me and they watched Halloween. And it was either Halloween or Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And
either way.
Obviously, I did not watch it.
Oh, you didn't? No, you didn't sneak up behind him?
No, not me.
Oh, you're too scared.
No, I was too scared.
Man, and I was written those when I was like 12 to see the sex shit.
We were living in that house.
In the creepy ass house?
In the creepy ass house.
All right.
At night.
And you were scared.
And she was freaked the fuck out after watching that movie. And had to, at that point, was so freaked out she had to leave the house. So.
With you?
Yes.
Okay.
And she was so scared after watching the movie that she did not want to run out to her car. She would not go between the door and her car. And I think one of my other brothers was there as well, and she made I don't know if it was Todd or Alan, one of them. She made them run and unlock her car and turn it on and open the door for her so that she could run as fast as she could from the door to the car.
With you, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, she made sure I was coming along, but I was not her main concern at this point.
Right. No. But I'm so glad you really a little. That's awesome. But you didn't babysit any yourself?
It seems like I did, like once or twice, and I can't remember who it was.
You were very involved.
Yeah.
I never babysat except for my brother.
Okay,
but I was 6 years older, so that was it wasn't really babysitting. I don't think I ever got paid. Right. It was just we're home together. I'm in charge. And then I only had a couple of babysitters. Before we moved to Connecticut, we were 3 minutes from one set of grandparents and 10 from the other grandma. So we were still in Texas. It was like no problem.
Right.
And then I had a couple of high school babysitters. One was a guy, though. And I remember my mom, one time when he was about to come over before they went out, I took a bath and got in my pajamas and I was wearing a nightgown. She was like, why don't you wear a pair of pajamas that has pants with it? I'm like, looking back, it's like, damn. If you felt that weird about it, what...
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you doing even leaving us with him? But okay. So back to the book. Did you have a favorite of the girls?
The older sister.
Janine. Dope. Least favorite. At least for right now.
Probably Kristy.
Because of the bossy?
Yeah.
Oh, not even kidding. Just you wait. Back in the day at this point, I liked Stacy the most because she was super cool.
Okay.
But I recognized I was more of a Marianne.
Yes, I probably
fine.
was as well.
I mean, I probably still am.
Shy and
nerdy.
Non-talkative and
yeah, wanting to organize. I don't bite my nails. So that's all I got.
Cool.
Yeah. So, assuming I get this out to all the places, usual shit. Please rate and subscribe on iTunes and all the other podcast places we're hopefully going to be. If you want to get in contact with us, email us at fightingoverthecardcatalog@gmail.com or find us on Facebook and Instagram at Fighting Over the Card Catalog or on Twitter at Card Catalog Pod. Or check out our website at fightingoverthecardcatalog.com. Next time, I think we're going to discuss, then again, maybe I won't. We're choosing this book because this is the only young adult book I remember you ever mentioning and enjoying.
I wrote a book report on it in the 6th grade.
Do you think your mom still has it?
The book report?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh, damn. So we'll see you back here next time for Then Again Maybe I Won't. And hopefully it's going to be shorter than this one now that we know what the fuck we're doing. We're rereading the books of your childhood.
So you don't have to.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Hi, bye-bye.